We'll see if the sound continues to work. Figured I'd mess around for 20 minutes again, kind of practicing with the chat and a few other things. Mainly just navigating and learning it all. This is pretty normal for me. Anytime there's a new program or new anything, it's a thing. What's fun is usually about the time I really learn how to work something, that's when a new version comes out. Yeah, back home, we were out in the woods all day yesterday. Quite very tired still. Just the thought of pink champagne gives me heartburn. This is a different mic than I used before. The one I did Saturday morning was just the onboard one. I got the one on my headphones to work. I know it's not a great mic, but it's what I got at the time. Hmm. Well, there are so many options. I wonder how much of this stuff on YouTube is actually necessary. You see nothing but a black box because I don't have the camera enabled. Come on. If I can't see you, why should you see me? Besides, then I have to put on pants. Looking for that button I found the other day. I'm not sitting. I'm trying to figure out a few things. You know what I'm doing tonight? What I'm trying to do is get the chat to display where it'll auto scroll for me. What I've managed so far is to actually somehow minimize the chat. Ah, figured it out. For some reason, I needed to type the more options button. I don't know. Sometimes I get the feeling with YouTube, whoever titled and named things wasn't a native English speaker. Because just the names of the names of things on here just aren't intuitive. Let's just do it. Hmm. Figured out where the add things. The tab key and the arrow key certainly get a lot of use on my keyboard. I saw a practical triangle in purple a couple of weeks ago, but then again, I had been drinking a whole lot. How many colors of black are there? What shiny small arms are you asking about? They've made a few. M16A4 clones are a lot of fun. I put mine together over many years, finding a piece here, a piece there. A lot of fun. I mean, they not really. I don't know much about the QBZ because they're not available in the U.S. Remember, I can't look at photos, so the only way I can really know something is to handle it, and there's really no way to handle one of those. You can't actually show rifles or firearms at all on YouTube live streams. If you pull out a gun on a live stream, they will end it. Something they started last year. No, that's not a goat. That's a cat. Hello, Miss Peanut. Miss Peanut just jumped. Oh, now she's going. Oh, I blame Google for a lot of things. I'm gonna put in a text message just to see where I'm at. Again, my main purpose is to try to find a way that I can to scroll through. One of those things. It's real simple for you guys, but for me, and I'm sure there's a trick. It's a matter of finding it. I didn't accidentally mute myself, did I? Whatever button that was, don't click that. Oh, click something I didn't like. I definitely found a button I shouldn't hit there. Kind of jammed me up for a second. Trying to find my place again. Howdy back to Seattle. Were you the one that did the chili the other night? I'm a pretty quick learner, seeing Arsenal. Yeah, that other night was a comedy of errors. I'm going to do a full black box, but essentially I ended up having to completely rip out my speech and install a whole other version just to make the damn microphone work. But it's working. I'm using the one on my headphones right now, so it's probably not the best. I do have nicer mics, but again, I'm mainly testing how I can access the chat easy because we're planning on doing a, a Q&A live stream, I think on Thursday. So I want to be at least somewhat proficient. I hear stuff too. We're definitely going to talk about rifles when we do the Q&A with Fox and whatnot. Again, I'm happy to talk a little bit tonight, but I'm mostly just getting familiar with things. And is this microphone acceptable, or do you want me to use a different one next time? I think keeping it the same time is a good idea. Ah, there it is. So what did I do to make that button, the little pop out the chat button up here? Wasn't there earlier? I feel like last time when I did the pop out made it easier for me. Let's see. Nah, self-destruct button's eating too much Taco Bell. At least it feels like that's what's going on inside you. Someone asked about Palmetto Steelcase ammo. I'm, I'm excited if it happens. And what's the price point going to be? But I have been warned by a distributor that it's going to be pretty spendy. I mean, it'll probably be as cheap as they can make it, but expect 35-ish cents around is what he said. So the days of 10 to 20 cents around steel case imports, yeah, we'll see. Your chili story, just I don't know why. I think it's just because both Vox and I were sleep deprived. He laughed all night about the chili thing. And I told him the fact that it took you 2 hours to, come back and say that was good chili was just, proof right there that it was real. Because, it takes 2 hours to make chili and they need it. Yeah, I guess this is the beta. We'll say the other day was the alpha test. Hey, I'm doing better than. Okay, my brain just fogged out. Bethesda, with the Fallout 76, right? At least I'm not crashing on you. I crashed on myself the other night. Todd Howard, that's what I was thinking of. Yeah, I'm not a loud talker, and my voice is tired. Also, my wife's in the other room calling her mother, so I don't want to shout. But no, you're right. I'm not a very loud person. I can go look at the mic volume in Windows in just a second, see if I can knock it up. The earliest AK I own. In terms of like actual built, or like in terms of the parts it was built from, like, because a lot of the stuff that's early is actually newer production. For example, the Hungarian SLR 100. If you count the original AK-55 parts, they date back to the late 50s. But if you count when it was put together here as a semi-auto, they date back to the early 2000s. So I think the earliest semi AK that anyone owns would be one of the Valmets, maybe. I also have a Clayco Chinese, so that's an early Chinese. If you're talking about parts build, add that Russian Type 3. I just never could nut up and accept the price of a Type 1. If they were all original, yeah, but um, the fact that they're builds, it's just no thanks. I'm gonna try something. I don't think it'll kick the stream. Yet I'm trying to figure out how to cycle the chat. That might have worked. F5, which is page refresh, might do it. I was hoping I could use arrow keys just to manually scroll. The economy is not great. What's funny though is there are some jobs, like if you're a contractor, at least right now, I've heard in the future, but there some things like that are big in demand. But yeah, by and large, yeah, I appreciate it. I often know, and my voice is tired. I've been traveling. I got home actually late last night, and then got up today, and I've been working, and it does wear one out. Got a bunch of guns I need to ship tomorrow. Yeah, you asked about the caramel on last week, or someone did if it wasn't you, and Fox did. I know nothing about it. It's never really interested me, so I never paid attention. Too many guns, not enough days. You know how it goes. I just it never was something that particularly struck my match, you know. But if it does other people's, that's cool. But yeah, my tastes are going a different direction. I wish more of you liked old military guns because that's really what I like talking about. When I do bolt action videos, they get like 3 views, and at least one of them is my cat. Late. I hadn't had dinner yet. Haven't you noticed I'm up? I mean, shit, the last stream I did was at 6 a.m. You think I'd gone to bed? No. No FNC video in the future, but we did a pretty extensive one in the past. That was back with Jay. So search the Mishaco channel for FNC. You can find it. I kind of said all I could say in that video. I'm sure it was recorded with the potato, but aside from that, the info is about the same. It's been a pretty static market in recent years. I'm trying a new thing. I'm doing the F5 to refresh the page, and then I'm actually cut pasting the text over into Notepad so I don't have to refine my. 'Cause that's what's taking me a while to respond. Is I have to manually scroll through every line with my text program, and this might help. Oh yeah, if they'd released the military version of the Carmel, I would be. And in the name, I'm not gonna lie, it makes me think of the guy who played Harry Mudd in the original Star Trek, because that was okay, not the same spelling, but his last name was very similar in pronunciation. No, and about Centerfire, my old sales rep called me and wanted me to call her back the other day, and we just wanted to catch up, and I forgot. I need to do that. I mean, I'm just not really personally needing a 74 kit. I was kind of there for that scene, and I'm not going to say no one wanted the 545 guns, but they were always an oddity, especially back in the days of the SAR 2s and the early Bulgarian kit builds, and even with the SGLs. The 21s, the 7.6239 versions, generally were more desirable than the 31s, the 545. Meatball subs. Back in the 80s when Subway was actually good, I like to get a meatball sub there. Jeff, you're spot on. The talk is so much greater than the action. And you know those guys. A lot of times they'll say, "Oh, if they'll bring over this gun, I'll buy it." And then, oh, when it comes over, it's not perfect, and so then they don't buy it. Over, you know, and I pointed this out before. The mini barrel pistol for $1,000, I thought it was great. Now, is the rear of the pistol the way we'd want it? No, but it's a minor thing, frankly. I would, if you gave me a choice between a neutered front sight base without the threads, but a brace acceptable rear, or the threads and just a flat rear like we got, I would easily take the threaded muzzle and the flat rear because one is a lot easier to replace than the other. Okay, so now it's auto scrolling. I just wish I knew what I did to make it happen and how long it'll continue. As to the grot, you know, there was an email just a couple of days ago where Arms of America had grot parts come in. I can tell you that legally speaking, there was no problem. The ATF had no problem approving a legal version of the grot, and that FB Radom had no problem making a semi-automatic version. But when that was talked about a couple of years ago, they were very forthright saying we have to fulfill military, police, other government contracts first. So, yeah, it can be done, but you're going to have to hold your horses until at least 2024. At least that was the word on the street a couple of years ago. Good news is 2024 is only a couple of months out. So, SHOT Show is also just a couple of months out. I'll be honest, I don't run suppressors much. You've probably noticed, especially 760 by 39 guns. So that's a good question to ask Fox. Again, going to be doing a Q and A on Thursday night with him, and that's probably a good time for that. This was just a test thing, but you know, I'm here. You're asking. I don't mind at all, but we'll probably do our first actual announced Q and A then. I just wanted to be prepared and try not to embarrass myself too much for that. Yeah, Robski and I have talked about both actions a lot, and I'll tell you, he's of the same mindset that I am. He really wants more people to get into them. So it's just they're fun, but the joys are more subtle, nuanced, and delicate. So it takes time with bolt guns, but it's, in my opinion, well worth it. It's a good idea to turn a mini barrel into an onyx because if you look at the late onyxes, onyxi, onyxes, Neelixes. We'll just call them Neelix. They look very much like the early mini barils, like that last run they did of Onyx. So yeah, I think It's not a bad idea. Would you want to keep it in 5.56 and just have that as a hidden thing, or are you really thinking about rebarreling it to 5.45? Not saying either way is right or wrong. I'm just curious. As far as Jeff on buying the Grot, I think what they would do, at least initially, would be kind of like what they did with the Vis 100, just limited importation for collectors. By the way, I still love my Vis 100. That's actually a handgun I shoot surprisingly often. It's not all that exciting, but it's kind of like the Walther P99. It fits me well. I enjoy it. And Arms of America and Atlantic are smart enough to kind of see what's collector and what's more general issue. So they'll probably bring over a couple of hundred here and there, kind of like Arsenal has done with some of the more collector items. Of course, these days with Arsenal prices, you think they seem to think everything they shit out's collectible. So there's that. Ooh, yeah, Washington and Oregon, for that matter, have been hit hard, and this sucks because I was out there a long time ago now, like 2006, 2007 period, and I found a lot of like-minded gun people, and I had a lot of customers in Washington and Oregon. Yeah, and this is just me using the onboard mic on my headphones. I would probably actually attach a good mic for our actual live. But for this, if it works, it works. I've heard YouTube videos of this mic playing on other tools, and I can tell the difference. But I guess as long as you can understand the words coming out of someone's mouth hole, mission accomplished, right? Yeah, unfortunately, Switzerland is probably not going to do custom builds, and I'm going to be honest, neither is Dave. It was a huge pain in his ass. Part of it was the customers. A lot of it was SIG. It was everything because, he had that order sheet, and if a gun came in wrong, even like a small thing, a lot of customers wouldn't take it. And sometimes a customer would change their mind. I think he had one guy that changed his mind 6 times on a gun. He wanted this color, no wait, that color, no. And at some point, SIG stops listening, and you kind of get whatever. It was just a thing. So I doubt it. And you're right. Dave has been able to get more in really since 2021 by shutting off that custom thing. It's opened other doors for, yeah, non-custom but larger production. I mean, look, he brought over nigh on 400 5.51s with the 16-inch barrel. That was probably his single largest batch. Now I know there were different styles, black and steel and the special edition. If I understand what you're asking about firing 10 millimeter or 40 Smith and Wesson through a nine suppressor, I sure heck wouldn't do it. One, suppressors are expensive. Baffle strikes can be very bad. Two, it's an item you're married to because of the $200 stamp tax. I just wouldn't risk it. Nope. I've always had the mantra: the right tool for the right job. Get it right the first time, and that way, if it screws up, it's not your fault. Yeah, that's a good idea. We just take a Tanto barrel, a blank barrel, cut it down, have to reprofile a bit. But yeah, I mean, I kind of feel where you're coming from. In for a penny, in for a pound, right? I thought years ago about doing that with the Draco. I wanted a 545 Draco. M1 Grands are awesome. M14s I like to look at more than shoot. The M59s I just freaking love. And they were a major research project for me. I had five at one time. I'm down to two originals and one of the BM59E or SLs built by James River. It's fine. But I did end up selling the Nigerian import model, but I kept the standard Mark One, I guess you'd call it, and then the Mark Three paratrooper. Now, see, I didn't change anything. It was scrolling nicely, and that stopped. Peanut the cat just tapped me on the leg. Do you want to jump up? Come on. Not sure she'll jump. She doesn't like sharing with people. Come on. You can jump. She's in my face right now. I have to admit, the PKM is such a classic, but a friend has a UK 59 done by Marklemar, and it is just smooth as butter. I'd have to go with the UK 59, even though I know the PKM is so much more historic. But both the original parts and the work that Marklemar put into his are just so nice. I guess I can talk about this now. On the 553 LB single piece barrel, we actually had some. He called me a couple months ago saying, "Hey, they have I don't know, like six. Do you want some?" And I said, "Sure." So we ended up doing three for me, three for him, and that's a normal gun. And then that was the gun that the ATF denied the Form Six on. Their reason: they heard a rumor that SIG had changed the barrel. If you change anything on a gun for an import, then it's subject to reevaluation. And they've tried to tell them, even getting a letter from the owner of SIG saying they have not changed the barrel in years. The guns have been approved in 2020, but nevertheless, they had to be resubmitted. Well, in October, the Form 6 was approved. So, as far as I know, the 553 LBs should be coming this month. But again, only half a dozen are coming in. So, it's not going to be a big run. But, six is better than zero. It's okay, Peanut. You can stay. I'm just trying to fuss with the finger. It's being on me, Peanut. Unlike kitties, computers are imperfect. This I could show you. There's a three-legged kitty sitting in my lap. Three-legged buddy. I don't know how she knows it, but she's staring at the laptop. Yeah, I really like the BM-59 too. I'd like to do another video on them even if I don't really have much more to say. They're just so cool. Why is your Chinese AK double firing? Did someone try to make it an illegal full auto? Sometimes those sears get one and it'll happen. Could also maybe be soft primers because it's a floating firing pin. So if your ammo has really soft primers, but honestly, without being able to hold it, I don't know. But I would, it's got to be something within the trigger group. Um, it has to be with the hammer sear interface there. Check and see if the two legs of the trigger for the spring, the little braided spring, are properly seated. Sometimes those go cattywonker and things weird happen. It's funny you mentioned BM-59s being perfect without the bipod. I did actually take the bipod off of one of mine, kind of the same reason. What's funny about those cult reissues, some are marked, some aren't, but I agree. When I did my video years ago on the first cult reissue, that was a big gripe of mine. They did a pretty good job, pretty good, there we go, of replicating the markings in the lower, but they really fell down when it came to the barrel. And to me, that's part of it. I mean, yeah, lower markings are cool, but you need the correct barrel markings. Oh, the M53. Of all things, the ones I had were from Century Arms years ago. They were okay. They were actually built by Wise Light under contract, if memory serves. There shouldn't be an F mark on the A1. The F mark came in when Picatinny rails became a thing. And Chrome Bore actually came out later, the marking. Off the top of my head, it was MPC for Chrome Chamber, and then MPB for Chrome Chamber Bore, and then finally MP Chrome Bore came out, and I think the full marking wasn't until 74. Yeah, I had a Champion 2007 and 223. What part of the video is not working right? Did the sound cut out? The garage, let's just say there's nothing preventing them from coming in. The ATF is amenable to approving them just as they approved the Baril, and FE Radom is cool with making them. But at the time, they said it would be a few years before they had the free production capacity because of government police contracts. And the good thing about my videos, if you're in bed, they probably help you get to sleep too. JB, this is better than what? So is your buddy the fake Jeff? Well, I mean, yes, it's a black screen. For those not in the know, last year YouTube changed streaming policies. You cannot show a firearm at all, not even like a bolt action, on a live stream now. So even if I did want to include video, what would it be of? Although I admit my cat would make a nice video thing. No one's scared of a Jeffrey. Have you not seen Fresh Prince of Bear Low? Oh, the six 940p. That's a really cool gun. What to say about it? I know Chris likes them. I always think my old sales rep at Century who retired, he always wanted one of those. No, it's really cool. The thing is, it doesn't really stand out. It's not super well made. This is it's poorly made. But you know what I mean. It's not HK quality, but it's sufficient. I think the best analysis. It's a good gun, but it's a little too late for them. It's competing with how many other rotating bolt gas piston guns. But I wouldn't kick one out of bed either. JB, you say other channels? Remember, I'm sure you know, but remember I'm blind, so I'm using a text to speech. So if there's like an emoji or something, I can't see it. So all it tells me is, quote, other channels. Tony, everything okay? What's retraction about anyway? I don't know. Honestly, I don't think Springfield would make a military Hellion, but I'd love it if they did a special run. I still think that's what CC should have done with the Bren 2. Just do a small run of military spec Bren 2s and then do the MS for the public. If they had done like a VHS2 commemorative edition, I would be there in a minute. As it is, I still really like my Hellion. I'm scrolling back down. Peanuts sitting on my lap. Peanuts, the three-legged cat. If she thinks I'm on the phone, she gets perturbed that she doesn't have my full attention. If she knew I was doing this, she wouldn't like it. As to CC and Colt, I know a couple of things, but I can't disclose them right now. They may not amount to much, but there is some. Let's just put it like this: they are really interested in replacing some people, or even filling some positions that have been vacant for a while at the top. So I think they're going slow but steady. And I'll say that they really can't do any worse than the previous management. The bar is pretty damn low. What's my opinion about the PSA CHF Indy? I'm not sure. Sorry. I'm not sure what you mean. Saber. When you say your PSL heavily dripped, do you mean like permanently? That can't be good. Nothing going from hard to droopy is ever good. That might be pasta. If you're getting 19 inches before a drip, you're doing better than most men. I mean, PSA is PSA. You should know what you're getting from them by now. I guess they kind of remind me of some of the other good for the money brands that we used to have, like DPMS, some of the Bushmaster things. I haven't really listened to electro music in a long time. You know who would have had an opinion about the Palmetto State Saber? Sean Connery. Schwartz. Your mother, Trebek. Really, though, PSA questions, that's really best left to Fox. Just not my wheelhouse, guys. But my main goal for coming in here tonight was to figure out the chat thing. It's certainly better. It'll scroll for a while on its own and then it won't. But if I hit F5 to refresh, it seems to pick up. 760 by 39 is not dying. Too many guns in America. Millions of AKs, probably almost as many SKSs, and then some other kind of weird things like the Mini 30. Someone, like someone mentioned earlier, like I'm out of state making steel case, someone's going to fill that niche. Um, if they start, I mean, if you think 760 by 39 is dying, then what about 300 blackout? I mean, that's a much less prevalent cartridge. Now, even if there's a lull in the ammo, it'll pick back up. Someone will come to fill the need. And the good news is, Russia was far from the only nation that mass produced it. They're as admirable. I said this on the previous live stream. They've been knocked down so many times by the government, and they come back, and yeah, they keep trying. And for what they are, they really offered everything they could. Yeah, Fox would love for the 9mm NATO kits to come back. We did a video shooting mine back in September, and yeah, I've had it over a decade. I bought it brand new, straight from them. During like those 2 weeks you could get them before the ATF shut them down, and it's neat. I do wish the mags were a little more available, but other than that, the proprietary mag thing, yeah, 760 by 39. I mean, used throughout Africa, several places in South America, a lot of places in Asia, East Asia, of course, all of Eastern Europe. 545 just didn't really catch on, but 760 by 39 pretty much went everywhere. The 762 NATO didn't in the world, and even a few places had both. The mini jack is the build one's quite nice. Waiting for the speed the chat to stall out again because I have one more thing I want to try. Of course, when you want it to quit scrolling, that's when it always scrolls, right? Unfortunately, I don't know anything about her arms. I'm a historical military collector. Civilian and commercial stuff, it's fine. It's not my wheelhouse. I will happily admit when I don't know something or when it's just not my field. I mean, it's viable enough to buy an M91. I personally prefer the PSL, but the M91's fine. Um, just a lot more money for what it is, and not really any more accurate. But in a perfect world, I'd have one of everything. As much as I'm as much as I'm optimistic about 760 by 39 not being dead, 545 guys was always on a limited time in America because very few nations outside of Russia use it. And most of those dumped it as quick as they could, like Poland and Bulgaria. Romania is the only credible source outside of Russia. Obviously, that's not happening there. And I don't know that anyone would actually tool up to make 545 in huge numbers. Now, that said, I could see a boutique manufacturer, like Norma PPU, making a small run of it now and again. But if they do, it'll be at least 50 cents around, maybe even a buck around. A three-legged cat's a good project. I think my next project will be doing a Beretta PM12 build. So I haven't had time to really dive into it yet. I don't know if there's any gun that I know is coming and I'm looking forward to. We haven't quite hit SHOT Show, which is when you might hear about stuff. I think my next year will just be more focusing on what I have, maybe setting up the shooting range, that kind of thing. And I need to find some ammo like we all do before trying to worry about going too much there. Favorite SKS. I mean, the cheap answer would be Russia, but if I'm feeling more fun, Albania. I love the Albanian SKS. It's so different from all the others, and even within Albanians, there's a lot of variation in like the quality. Yeah, I just think it's neat. No, no Carmel video just doesn't interest me, and no one's given me one. I'm sure if we just had one given to us or whether loaned to us, but I don't want to go out and spend my money on one. Just $1,500. I had better things right now. Not in this economy. I don't think there's anything that's caught my eye ever. What about styrofoam skits? I feel like I smell a cat that just farted. My favorite 5.56 AK probably won't change. The Burrell. Um, Good looks, well made, new features. It's the one that was most built around 5.56. Well, the chat quit flowing again, and my new idea didn't work. So maybe I don't think so, really. I think by the time you completed one, you basically just have all the sim on it. Because I mean, a lot of the stuff has to be altered in the trigger pack. Where are you gonna find a receiver, the metal part? Yeah, they're really there's not a whole lot that are useful in a semi-auto. Yeah, I'm probably gonna go off here soon. Just I've at least got the chat working better. Oh, speaking of going, even now Peanut got up, so that's always a good sign when your cat wants to go. I feel like every time I do this, I accomplish something. On the AUGs, if you want a classic one, those 40th anniversary guns I really liked. I thought they did a really good job considering that they weren't priced too crazy, and they didn't sell well, unfortunately. Hi, chicken. I mean, my opinion on the PSA 101s about like my opinion on other PSAs. It's not an AK 101. Why? The devil's really in the details. And it's not me being pedantic saying, well, this isn't the right top. Literally every part is different from an AK 101. And to me, it's the sum versus greater than the parts. It's just, it's that. I don't know. I'd take a just off a M90 over it personally. I'm gonna post it on Patreon, but yeah, we're actually gonna do a full Q&A Thursday, and that might be the day of the week we kind of go with. Yeah, the the AUG anniversary, they called it the STG 77. It was even stamped in the stock. They did a pretty good job of replicating the OD green. They even replicated the original charging handle. Now it had a removable optics, but kind of like A2 style, but it was good enough. And it did have the newer, 5 slot flash hider. That's one thing, but unscrew it and put original on. I mean, that's a small. There were like two or three little things like. Oh, and I didn't have the external bolt release, which the original was in. It was almost there, and there were like two or three things you could change to really make it look like a pre-band AUG SA, and you could shoot it. And again, this gun was under $2,000 brand new, including the optics. So I thought it was a good deal. Now, how the heck could I play a video game? The Trevor, yeah, the Trevor is cool. I kept the 18 inch, excuse me, SAR, the TAR 21, and then I kept the X95 that I put the SBR thing on. It's cool. I enjoy shooting it. Good at dying in video games. Actually, I probably wouldn't die. I'd probably get stuck in a corner, just like the little guy just running in a circle. Hey, I referenced Todd Howard earlier, so yeah, I'd fit right in the original Fallout 76 game. What kind of games would I be? I'm being serious. What kind of games would are there just like text-based games? Well, I've actually never played any Fallout game for other obvious reasons. But you learn things, cultural osmosis. And Jay, remember him? He liked Fallout, so learned some from him. Sometimes I just get bored and watch videos on YouTube. Music's really cool for him. Yeah, JBI, it's not me. YouTube won't let you post links. It edits them out. Yeah, realistically, the games I could play would have been like the old, mud games, the old MMOs in like the '80s. Yours just a text-based adventure. That I could do. Well, here's the thing too. I don't think you can play Fallout without a mouse, can you? I mean, I can't use a mouse. The thing about those old MS-DOS games, will they still run on modern Windows? Some do, some don't. It's kind of a crapshoot. Funnily enough, compatibility has actually gotten better. There was a time in the early 2000s when it was almost impossible to play older games before DOSBox and all that came out. No, what I could do in Duck Hunt is controller too. I flew the fucking duck. Just going around in real crazy circles. Whack, 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 whack. Ooh, what weapon? That's a little broad. Pistol, rifle. Let's narrow it down just a little bit. And I'm probably going to give about a 10-minute warning here. I'm going to go off and grab some food. I'm getting hungry and other things to do. I feel like I've streamlined my use of the chat as much as I'm going to tonight. But yeah, about 10 minutes, I'm going to pop off of here. Night, Tony. I'm not heading to bed, but I'm going to head off and maybe work on some videos or get to work and packing tomorrow's guns that need to go out. Always more stuff, especially when you've been out of town 3 or 4 days. On machine guns. Hmm. No, keep in mind I haven't handled nearly all of them because of accessibility. There is something very charming about the original 1919. I kind of like how it can be easily reconfigured. Um, hmm. We mentioned the PKM earlier. I really like the PKM's aesthetics a lot. The SG-43 Gorinov is quite interesting. But if I had to pick one, the Modus. I mean, go big or go home, right? And they are a lot of fun to shoot if someone else is footing the MO bill, right? Chicken, have you only met one gun YouTuber? Is that the joke? No, I appreciate it, but realistically, I know my limitations, but I appreciate it. But, I enjoy it. There's far better guys out there on other things that know history. I mean, we had CN Arsenal in here earlier, and I watch all of his stuff. Of course, military arms channel. Tim's been a friend of mine for a long time. Rob Ski, I really enjoy because I think he's very sincere and he's got a wicked sense of humor. And back in the day, I met Hickok 45 a couple of times. About it. Oh, and of course, I know James of the Short Shorts. We seem like we're very different people, and we are, but that doesn't prevent us from being friendly with each other. Sometimes opposites attract in that sense. I don't think we'll see much from Ukraine, although there were some stock sets that came in, but you know, probably not for a while. Not unless cash is needed in a hurry. I think they've learned their lesson about not having a small arms on the ground. I'm interested to see if we see anything out of Vietnam now that relations and trade with Vietnam are improving. I kind of got my mullet Vepper, the tail end, the RPK 74. I mean, those just barely squeaked in before the sanction lid shut down in 17, but at least they made it in. Yeah, that's kind of my ultimate mullet. Hmm. No, I did not know, Richard. Yeah, Rob's great. He's very sincere. Nope, haven't met Exile. Rob actually doesn't live very far from me at all, like an hour less. When you sleep, chicken, do you put your head under your wing? If so, is it the left wing or the right wing? I'm going off memory, but I think they'll definitely be pick guns. In fact, They really don't do Diopter 5.53 guns. They call it the American side. They only have ever done them for America. For the Swiss military and others, they've always been pick rails because the 5.53 is a relatively new gun. It'll be a pick rail for sure. And best I recall, it'll be black. It'll be an alloy lower. But again, that's the modern style. At least the Swiss Army, after testing, approved the alloy lower for service. They were a 7.51, the Sapper, the SOCOM version. There's never a steel. All those have alloy lowers, and I'm sure they figure, well, heck, if it's good enough for 7.62 NATO, it's good enough for 5.56. I could be wrong on the color though, but I do know it's a pick rail gun. Nope, the original Baril and the Archer Gen 2s and Gen 3s are not threaded. They were pinned on for accuracy. Now, the Gen 1s had threading and a removable muzzle device, but it was a different barrel profile and slightly shorter too. So the Gen 2s and Gen 3s are not threaded, and that's appropriate. They essentially use the same pins as the gas block to hold the device on. Now, on the military guns, the muzzle brake had internal threading to accept a blank fire device. I think I'm starting to learn how JB types, so it's all good. I mean, if I wanted a Colt Sporter, I'd buy it, but I mean, I'm gonna be honest, I don't much care who a gun comes from. I'm more interested in it's the old gun so adage of buy the gun, not the story. So now I do have some guns that came from personal friends of mine that I do value from having come from them, but that's kind of a different thing. There you go, zip, see, right wing chicken. Yeah, I saw that the bayonet lug wings were coming back. What's funny? The very first full size Brills 5.56s that slipped in through AOA had an intact bayonet lug. It was an oopsie. It wasn't supposed to happen, but no one caught it, and they just let it go. Alrighty, guys, probably heading off in about 2 minutes here. But I wouldn't probably thread my Brio barrel just because I want to keep it original, and I'd only want that muzzle brake on it because the muzzle brake it comes with is a good one. Small, doesn't have a lot of weight, but it has the asymmetric porting, so it actually compensates for recoil. It also has a notch where it'll take the spring for 22 millimeter grade. Sure, Chippy. And again, try to come in on Thursday and talk with Fox. He can answer a lot more questions on the newer stuff. I'm old. I don't know the new stuff. We'll have to do a live stream from out in the mountains soon too, Brooke. I think that'll be neat. Do like a nature walk thing. Maybe even do like a live cast hike.